I'd like to show you a Trinitarian confusion regarding the Moody Bible Institute. See if you can pick what's wrong with this picture. In Article 1 of their Statement of Faith, it says, quote, God is a person who has revealed himself as a Trinity in unity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, three persons and yet one God. So what's wrong with this picture? It's a problem of mystification. James White, in his The Forgotten Trinity, note immediately that we are not saying there are three beings that are one being or three persons that are one person. Such would be self-contradictory. Hank Hanegraaff has often expressed this point in a wonderfully simple and clear way. When speaking of the Trinity, we need to realize that we're talking about one what and three whos. We dare not mix up the whats and whos regarding the Trinity. So as you can see, the Moody Bible's statement of faith about who God is, or what God is, or how many God is, you can see that it has gone astray from their own doctrine, so-called doctrine of a triune or three-in-one God. Now, that was some years ago, the article that I saw, but just today on their website, I saw that earlier this year on February 2018, they had a statement revising their article. So you can see there under Dear Moody Family that the Institute has been founded since 1886 and that the Articles of Faith or the Statement of Faith was written in 1928, so almost 100 years, actually 90 years this year. Now, they sent this out to their family, quote unquote, because this is a big deal to revise the Article 1. So it says in part, if you see that website, in May of 2017, the leaders at Moody and those in our theology department have recognized over the years that the language in Article 1 does not sufficiently or clearly articulate our biblical belief in God as Trinity. Since 1928, Article 1 has stated God is a person, and so on. After several months of study, reflection, and prayer, the following revised article was unanimously approved by the full Board of Trustees in October 2017. So this only took place recently, last fall. So now this is what they come up with. Quote, God is triune, one being eternally existing in three co-equal persons, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. These divine persons, together possessing the same eternal perfections, work inseparably and harmoniously in creating and sustaining, redeeming the world. So as you can see, they have taken out the, what I would call oneness confusion in Trinitarian talk or Trinitarian so-called doctrine out of their original statement of faith that was almost 100 years old. So does this really take care of the problem? Well, it protects a mystery, protecting the mystery. Wolfson, in his book, The Philosophy of the Church Fathers, says, the question as it was posed to the apologists was, that is, by that he means the early so-called Church Fathers, how can three beings, each of them a God, constitute one God? To them, that was a mystery, which they tried, if not to solve, at least to free from the charge of its being self-contradictory and meaningless. and this by showing how philosophers in a variety of ways justify the common practice of designating the many by the term one. So some new interpretation has to be given to the concept of the unity of God. The new interpretation, says Wolfson, is that God's unity is not absolute, but only relative. So the result was what I call a proto-Gnostic creed. Wolfson again. The Church Fathers' conception of the Trinity was a combination of Jewish monotheism and pagan polytheism. To them, an ideal combination of what is best in Jewish monotheism and of what is best in pagan polytheism, and consequently, they gloried in it. And by that, he means, if you read some of the early so-called church fathers, you might see this. This is from St. Gregory, one of the so-called Cappadocian fathers, who were one of the last to formulate the 1 in 3 or 3 in 1 God. He wrote, "Do not be amazed if we declare that the same thing is united and distinct, and conceive, as in a riddle, of a new and paradoxical unity in distinction, and distinction in unity, the Trinity."